Hi guys, happy Halloween and happy Samhain to any fellow witches out there. I thought this year we could have a little bit of fun looking into something about spookier and still keeping it kinky. So tonight we are going to be talking about the infamous slave master. He actually lived not terribly far from where I am. So he's kinda known around here. But without any further ado, John Edward Robinson was born December 27th, 1943 in Cicero, Illinois, to an incredibly dysfunctional family. His mother, Alberta, was a housewife who, according to John, severely abused John, physically and emotionally. Like, when he was a teenager, he would be bedridden and she would knock him out, so it was really bad. Um, she told him she wished he had never been born and even blamed the death of his infant brother on him. His father, Henry, was a machinist by trade, but he was also severely an alcoholic. John was an Eagle Scout. He performed for Queen Elizabeth II in 1957, and supposedly he got a kiss from Judy Garland backstage at this very performance. Later that year, he enrolled in Quigley Preparatory Seminary School for Boys in Chicago, but he only lasted a year due to disciplinary issues. I wasn't able to find any information as to what these disciplinary issues what were, but I would be very interested to find out if anyone has any information on that. Um, so he enrolled to study radiology to be an X-ray tech at Morton Junior College in his hometown, but he dropped out after 2 years. By 1964, he moved to Kansas City, Kansas, and was married to his wife, Nancy. Together, they had 4 children and lived in a respectable suburban neighborhood. He was first arrested in 1969 for embezzlement of $33,000 from the doctor's office he worked at as an X-ray technician, and he used forged credentials to get said job. He was sentenced to 3 years probation. This started a string of crimes including embezzlement, fraud, check forgery, and this would continue all the way into the 90s. He'd been arrested so many times. It was ridiculous. Despite all of this white collar crime he was doing, he was actually known as a pillar of his community. He was a family man, all around nice guy. He was scoutmaster, he coached baseball, and even taught Sunday school. He was on the board of directors for a charity and was eventually named Man of the Year for this particular organization because he forged letters from the mayor to the other board members and from the executive director to the mayor. So he was forging these letters back and forth that were just singing his praises about how amazing he was. So he's Man of the Year. Um, and he won the award, and he even threw himself this lavish luncheon in his own honor. By 1980, he had started propositioning the wives of his neighbors for sex. This resulted in at least one fist fight. It was at this time he joined a secret sadomasochistic cult called the International Council of Masters and became its slave master, whose duties included luring victims to gatherings to be tortured and raped by cult members. In 1984, John Robinson hired a 19-year-old Paula Gottfried to work as a sales rep in one of his fake companies that he owned and created. Paula told her friends and family that he was sending her away for training. She was never seen again. Her parents filed a missing persons police report not long after she was sent away. The cops questioned Robinson, but he claimed he didn't know where she was or anything. Um, a few days after filing the report, Paula's parents received a typewritten letter saying that she was fine. She was really happy for everything Robinson had done for her, but she didn't want to see them anymore. And her signature was written at the bottom. So the police, they really couldn't do much as she was of legal age. There was no proof of a crime, even though they found it peculiar. Um, and Robinson had actually been known to use a lot of fake names, including all of his online handles. He has been known to use at least 17 different names. He met Lisa Stacy and her 4-month-old daughter Tiffany under the name John Osborne, while Lisa and her daughter were out staying in a battered women's shelter in Kansas City. He offered her just everything she could ask for. He promised her a job in Chicago, an apartment, and even daycare for her baby. All she had to do was sign her signature at the bottom of a few blank pieces of paper. Um, so she did, and her body has never been found. But John adopted out baby Tiffany to his own brother and sister-in-law, who weren't able to conceive. He told them he knew of a woman who had committed suicide, leaving her baby in need of adoption. He charged them $5,500 for lawyer fees, despite having never hired a lawyer. The couple renamed her Heather Tiffany Robinson. They didn't know he allegedly killed her. Heather Tiffany Robinson didn't find out until the unfortunate circumstances until much later. She knew John as Uncle John, and she's still to this day searching for her mother's remains. Robinson did very similar things with multiple women. He'd offer them a job to get them to move, charm them into a relationship, and then they'd disappear. One such woman was the prison librarian he met while he was incarcerated. The relationship started when he was in prison and continued once he got out. Once he got out of prison, he discovered BDSM chat rooms and started meeting women using the name Slave Master. It is by this time he is most widely known, or it's by this name he's most widely known. He is also known as the internet's first serial killer. He would often have them sign slave contracts where he'd make them promise all their belongings to him. He'd also offer them jobs, places to live, and anything else they might need. One lady had a daughter who was very disabled. Her daughter was a teenager. She was in a wheelchair, um, and she had to use diapers. So to the woman, the mother of the teenager, he told her that he could get her a job, a place to stay, and medical care for her daughter. But he ended up just killing them both, and he was still cashing the disability checks long after they were dead. Another victim he killed simply for her alimony checks. All of this while he was married, and no one suspected a thing. His wife didn't really know, no one in the community, although his wife did, she admitted later that she knew about his interest in BDSM, but that was all she knew. By 1999, he'd gotten a little sloppy in his dark deeds, not enough to get him arrested, though. But the cops were trying to catch him as he seemed to be connected to all these missing women in one way or another. The FBI tried to have a female agent meet up with him, posed as a sex worker, but they were so afraid for her life that they pulled her out at the last minute. There was a psychiatrist he started a relationship with who went to meet him in a local hotel room, and this was while the cops were staked out in the room next door. During their time in the hotel, she was treated more roughly than what she consented to, and He kept all of the sex toys that she brought. She brought over $700 worth of sex toys, and he just sent her back to Texas. Um, and he assaulted multiple women by pushing past the agreed upon boundaries of the scene. A few of them did make official reports. After these incidents, they found out he was going to have a woman meet him with her 8-year-old daughter in the deed to her car. By this time, of course, they had enough to get a warrant. So on June 2nd, 2000, police raided a mobile home that he owned. This was like on farmland. It wasn't like his normal home where his kids lived. And they found two 85-pound barrels, each of which were stuffed with the remains of his female victims. So there would be one body in each barrel. Then in a storage shed he owned in Raymore, Missouri, 3 more barrels were found, all of which had a body inside. The women they found were all killed by a blow to the back of the head. The trial was a media sensation. There was a radio station outside the courthouse. There were T-shirts being sold that read, "Roll out the barrels." He was found guilty of the murder of 8 women. Some of the murders he confessed to. He is now on death row. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that this helps. I know that BDSM can be very alluring, but let's face it, no matter how safe you think you're being, it still can be very dangerous. So I hope you guys enjoy this and have a happy, safe Halloween.